Hey, wow, today is a holiday. You were on time, I was on time, everything is fine. So we're going to have Jack Vaughn today. He's a senior president of Sirius Comedy, and he's vegetarian, so he's familiar, and he was here before. I want him to see variety of our dishes. So let's do oyster palms.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a new dish. I want kind of him to be a guinea pig to see if he likes it or not. I want him to try our mac and cheese, omelet, and spaghetti squash.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Lower East Side, 123 First Avenue. How convenient the address is here of the Organic Grill. OG, the initials for Organic Grill. OG Talk is the show. We're bringing you live from the East. It's live now. I mean, it'd be weird if we dead to do that. But anyway,
I'm pretty tired.
He's dead tired. It's Vlad Grinberg, who's the co-host, and my dear friend Jack Vaughn from XM Sirius. They're glad to have you here. Jack Vaughn is what a great name. You couldn't ask for a cooler name.
Nice to say. You're nice to say. We named our kid Jack also. He's TJ, so third Jack.
Right. Is it John and it becomes Jack? That's interesting.
My paternal grandparents, my grandfather and all of his siblings had these terrible biblical names. They grew up in the Ozarks.
Ebenezer and that kind of a thing.
Oh, Elijah, and just horrible biblical names.
You said Elijah, the poor person named Elijah who's watching go, son of a bitch.
I'm sorry, Elijah. It's a great name.
Come on.
I mean nothing. So he ran away from home at 13 and vowed to name all of his kids after celebrities. So movie stars, and my dad was named after Jack Dempsey.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's passed down through the ages.
It's one of those names, like I remember Letterman would, if he liked the name, he would say, if my name was Jack Vaughn, you can all kiss my ass, because it's a fun name. Like I have Eddie Brill, it's a name that just rolls off the tongue. In fact, my whole life, people have never just called me Eddie. They go, hey Eddie Brill, it's pretty good. Vlad Grinberg.
That's pretty biblical.
Is that
yeah. Well, Vladimir,
Is that a family name?
Grinberg?
Yeah, that's.
It wasn't shortened from something?
But in where I came from, it's a very common name, like Ivan, Vladimir, John here, basically.
Yeah, and Jack. I always found it interesting that the name Jack came from John. It doesn't make any sense. If your name's Jackson,
the same length.
right, the same
You're not
four
saving
letters.
any time.
Nonsense. My name is John, but you can call me Jack for short. For short. What is short about that?
What's it long for?
Yeah. And it would be Johnny.
What do you think about Crispin Glover?
Crispin Glover, that's so funny. Well, we were talking about him before we started taping. You know Crispin Glover from Back to the Future. He was on the Letterman show in the NBC days, and there was a famous moment where he just did this kickboxing routine or whatever, and almost hit Dave in the face.
I want to know, was that staged?
I don't think it was. The look in Dave's face.
He would have been a good actor.
I didn't think that, he did Cabin Boy, but that's the only acting Dave had really done. He's a very talented broadcaster, but I don't think that was staged. A lot of things that happened in Letterman weren't staged. We were talking about this before. Like when people come in here for an interview, I don't really like to talk too much to them because we've already wasted some great conversation earlier just hanging around chatting.
You have no idea.
Yeah, it was some incredible stuff that you won't see.
So much.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that you're sitting there. You're great, but you missed a lot of great stuff.
This was way better.
So we're talking about Jack and Elijah, and that's
nonsense.
Not as much fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, at Letterman, I remember Joaquin Phoenix was on the show. I only worked there at CBS days, and he sort of did a character-y thing, and I don't think Letterman knew in advance about it, but once he caught on, he played along with him, and even had a line where he said, "Thank you for having me." He goes, "Will be great to have you next time when you're here," kind of a thing.
That's a great line.
Yeah.
So he never did pre-interviews.
No, the producers did the pre-interviews for the show,
Right.
and then he'd read the stuff in advance. And but he had this little sheet in front of him with a couple of little notes to lead him into different things. But he would go from those notes and then either go off. Like sometimes if he knew the guest, he would go off the questions just to be playful and have fun. I mean, he was one of the best interviewers
But you
in the world.
said that he would come much earlier. So what
During
did
the
he do?
day, he would maybe do research on the guest to find
So
out.
he does
about
the research. He just doesn't talk to the person, not to lose impressions.
Yeah, and to lose the spontaneity of what happens at the beginning.
And we lost it like right away.
Oh yeah, we lost it yesterday, and we're filming it today.
We're making it back.
Yeah,
We're making it
and
All
that's
right.
the way it goes. So all I know about your childhood, and then you'll fill it in.
Yeah.
You went to high school in Guatemala.
I did.
Which is not
Jealous?
anything. A lot.
No.
I mean, the word Guatemala
Hard
is
to
cool.
relate,
Jack
yeah.
Vaughn, Guatemala. These are all cool words.
It's all mystery.
Yes. So
Yeah.
where were you born?
So I was born in New York City.
Okay.
In the 70s. My dad was working for the Children's Television Network, working on Sesame Street, selling Sesame Street internationally. And then the later stage of his life, he was all foreign service. So right after New York, we moved to Iran in the late 70s.
So tell us about foreign service. Like
Yeah.
what did that entail for your dad?
Well, he was ambassador to Panama and Colombia in the 60s. And he had more jobs. He started off as a professional boxer, driving a Model T through Mexico.
We should get your dad in here.
Oh, he died a few years ago.
Oh,
so
I'm
it would
sorry.
be challenging. But
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah,
And get him and my dad, and it would be really sad.
Oh, the
It would
saddest
be a whole
episode ever.
different show.
Ew.
It would be organic.
Too soon. Too
yeah.
soon.
not
Just
at all.
that's
Are
it.
you kidding me?
Actually, probably too late.
Yeah, right. We missed out on that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so your dad was
so-
doing foreign service.
So foreign service, and later in his career, he focused more on the environment, and so he was down in Guatemala. He was in Iran working on a Rockefeller water project. Everyone thinks he was CIA because everywhere we went, things went bad, right? So we moved to Iran in '78. And we were fleeing about a year later. We got out about 3 weeks before.
And why
the
were you
embassy was
fleeing?
captured. The embassy fell. Yeah, if you've seen Argo, we were about 3 weeks away from being Argoed.
Wow.
Were you able to make sense of what is happening?
It was weird because I was maybe 5 or 6, but I was beat up in school every day for being American.
Wow.
And, it was a tough time. My sister was born there, and it was really, really rough because martial law was declared and no one was allowed out of the house after 9 p.m. And
Imagine like what was there at the time and what is now, and we facing this problem again, right?
yeah, over
Do you
and
know
over.
anything about the situation now? I mean, I know a lot of people who've been to Iran, have lived in Iran now in the last decade or so, and they love it, and they say the education there is incredible and the world is different.
I'm dying to go back. My little sister was born there, and technically she had to renounce her citizenship when she was 16 or 18.
Right.
But she's not going to do that. She's not going
Right,
to like,
right.
hey,
I'm
we were like,
Iranian.
no,
Yeah.
you're staying. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not going to do that. She's gonna run the risk of not having to go to Iran anymore. But I'm desperate to see because I only have really a sense memories. I just remember really good bread and
That's
sort of
interesting. That's what you
abject
remember.
terror. Yeah.
So what do you think of
school
Iran?
bit.
Well, the bread was ridiculous.
Sanget?
I don't
Are
know
you
about
kidding me?
political
Yeah, you know,
situation, but the bread.
Panarin and
Well, they had this great
Iran.
bread called sangek, which is a flat bread that they. My dad and I would walk up to the bakery and they would bake it in these awesome clay ovens, and they would whack it against these pebble walls. And we would bring the loaf of bread home, and by the time we got home, it was just a little piece. And you'd be picking pebbles out of your teeth. I'm not selling it, but it was
not,
really
not
good
at
bread.
all. But it
And,
reminds me in
but-
Brooklyn, we would get the Italian bread, and the smell would come from the bakery, and you'd grab the
Do you
Italian
think it's
bread and
just
you'd eat it.
childish memories, or it's really that good? Because
I don't know.
I tried
What do you
to go
think?
back and buy stuff that I adored when I was a child. I was like, yeah, really?
What did you love? What did you love?
Yeah.
What was
No,
your
I'm
go-to?
just.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Let's talk about food now.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we'll bring in food. But it's interesting how food has such an emotional attachment to what goes on. To go back,
yeah.
like even like to go get a Yoo-hoo that I would like as a kid. Nowadays they don't make it the same way.
Is that right?
Yeah, and it's more chemical
Yeah.
than it is when I was younger, and it changes the memories of it. So Vlad, this is is amazing.
All right,
So let's
so we're
explain
going
what
to
we
use
have
you
there.
as a guinea pig today. We have a new dish that we just
It's a
started.
vegetarian vegan place, so we don't eat guinea pig. You are the guinea pig.
Okay, so this is a new dish we have, oyster mushroom in parm. So technically it's ojikin parm.
Thank you, Slava.
For those people who wouldn't want to eat it on a sandwich. So guys, I want you to try it.
That looks amazing.
Right. The ones you have right in front of you, mac and cheese bombs, are made of quinoa pasta, and it's gluten-free.
Nice.
And it's really difficult to do all items like appetizers gluten-free because you have to redo your whole menu. So if it goes to the fryer or if it's done, it has to be done all in environments that is gluten-free. So like some people take gluten-free items and put it in a regular fryer, and then it's technically
well,
not technically.
The same thing's going on at like the KFCs and the
Yeah,
Burger Kings
and
where they're
they
doing
put it
the
in the
special
annual.
burger.
I don't care.
Yeah.
All right, so this is our famous omelet. Did you try it last time when you were here?
No, I had dinner here last time.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, so this is omelet, and this is spaghetti squash. Look how it looks. It looks exactly like
Show the
pasta.
camera. That looks great.
It's just squash. It's unbelievable.
What's the cheese made out of?
We make cheese ourselves. It's
Nice.
Based on coconut oil, spices we add. It's really, really good.
Amazing.
All right, let's try it. And
All
we
right.
don't have like official policy how we eat. We just eat.
Dig in.
Dig in, and if you use your
I'm
hands,
going
I'm
to
gonna
disgust
see.
your watchers.
Oh,
I'm a
perfect.
sloppy.
Yeah, we apologize in advance.
No, seriously, you're going to want to cut this.
Okay.
All right.
So while you're getting that, so to go back to the story, so we were talking about Iran. You know, it's funny, like calling it Iran. A lot of people call it Iran. You know, and people I've met from Iran go, it's Iran. Why are you changing the name? It's like Iraq, Iran.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's but I think it's from reading it and not hearing
You're
it.
right.
Yeah. And I don't know. Someone said once, it was a comedian who goes, you don't hear the newscaster say there was heavy fighting in Northern Ireland.
Yeah, right. Brian Regan.
Yeah.
I think that's the bit that he
Yeah,
does. You
he's
know,
so
or
good.
the Spanish town, and all of a sudden the guy has a Spanish accent.
El Salvador.
El Salvador.
Yeah. All
I'll
right.
send this to you, down to you.
Oh, great.
Put that in there. All right. So how did you end up in Guatemala? Was that another thing your dad had done?
That was another here. I'll give you the.
I'll take the cheese ball.
He was trying to prevent rainforest depletion. And
That
unfortunately,
didn't go well.
No, the sad part is 90% of the rainforests have been cut down since his leaving.
90.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, so he was basically a keeper of rainforest, huh?
Yeah.
Right after he left, everything just went.
I don't
down.
know if it was his doing, but it's really sad when you work so hard to try to protect something and then there's inevitability of it going away. But
So much is out of your control.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, it's too bad. But it was the height of the Marxist revolution in Guatemala.
Right.
Oh,
So it was
man.
dangerous.
Crazy dangerous.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah, people in my class were kidnapped and killed.
Kidnapped.
Yeah.
So no wonder why you got into comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because for me, it was two things. It was dangerous and boring, which is a terrible combination.
Oh my God, you can do like
So-
really bad stuff.
Yeah, but we
thank you.
stole cable from the States, so I got to see a lot of the best comedy on cable. Right at sort of the dawn of the new era of comedy. So that's what I just.
Like, so
stayed
who
inside
were the people, the first comics you saw, and how they influenced you?
Well, when I was a kid, it was Weird Al Yankovic and Eddie Murphy records and those things. But in that era, it was like the Brian Regans, it was the Margaret Smiths, it was the Jake Johanssons of the day.
You know, Margaret Smith I'm surprised she's not as famous as she should be. She's one of the
so good.
greatest comics ever, and also very kind. You know, I worked with her in this great club in Buffalo called the Comedy Trap.
Yeah.
And I was a young comic, and I talk so fast. And I normally talk fast. I'm a New York person, but she said, she slowed me down.
Interesting.
And she talked me into a lot about nonverbal communication, which she's so good at.
Yeah.
And she's one of my favorite comics of all time. It's interesting. There are some comics, I don't want to mention a bunch of names because it's not a downer, but they're not really that famous, and they should be.
There's a whole group of people from that sort of generation who
So it
I
looks
felt
like
were beginning-
only like connoisseurs, like people who really know about comedy know about them.
I think so, but I think it's just the way we market stuff.
in combination of like luck and
Do you run into
timing,
that
right?
with marketing? Do you run into like, well, I can market this comedian. They might not be the greatest comic in the world, but they're very sellable. How does that work for you?
That's tough because my criteria when signing people to Comedy Central Records was just two things. It sounds like that kind of nonsensy industry talk, but it's truly the only two things. You had to be really funny, well, obviously.
Right.
And the other thing is you had to have a really, really distinct personality. And it didn't have to be on the nose, like I have a gimmick, but you just had, like Jim Gaffigan. He's so distinct. You know exactly what you're going to get when you see Jim Gaffigan. Or Brian Regan.
Right.
Or Maria Bamford. Or any of those types of people. You know exactly what their perspective was, what you're going to get when you saw them. So.
Yeah, and just to let people know that you are the senior vice president now at XM Sirius.
Satellite radio, everybody.
Yes, that's the way it is. But back then there was a lot of comedy albums, and there wasn't. I mean, they would play them on the radio, but you didn't get long cuts. And did you have comedy albums growing up as a kid?
Yeah.
Did your parents have comedy albums?
They didn't really. They liked comedy, but I don't think they really were into the comedy scene. Did yours?
Yes.
Okay.
My mom and dad were huge
My whole
comedy fans.
childhood was comedy. I was
Who were the big comics back then?
growing up in USSR, so that was a lot of comedy going on.
but were there comedy stars?
Some things are on on the TV and in newspapers, and there was comedy in the real world.
I want to know this. Did you get Yakov Smirnoff? Was he in your wheelhouse? Did he get past the Iron Curtain?
I think I just saw him here when I came in. No.
Yeah. So were there comics that when you were growing up that you got to see in your world?
Listen, Russian comedy was completely apolitical. Like it was just.
But it existed.
Yeah,
Stand-up was a thing?
Yeah. I don't know if stand-up was a thing. I never saw like. There was like big concerts that you can go and watch famous comedian, or you would see them in the movies, but there was no like small local comedy clubs that you can go to.
Interesting.
Right. So how did you? I know you started in music. You play the drums, right?
I do very badly.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
a lot of
that
Johnny.
took you far.
That's not false modesty.
Johnny Carson.
I'm mediocre.
Johnny Carson played the drums. Dave Letterman plays the drums. That we at the Letterman show we would have the greatest a week of
And
drummers.
Rick plays the drum.
Yeah,
Nice.
Rick,
I
our
mean,
producer.
that's how he ended up doing videos.
Who would you say is your favorite drummer?
Oh, I don't.
Was it Neil Peart, by any chance?
I was into obscure bands, so it's probably Brendan Canty from Fugazi.
Ah,
who nobody
yeah.
knows.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
Fugazi! I
he
love
knows.
Fugazi.
Oh, nice.
He's a big fan.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
I feel like at home. Yeah, vegetarianism. Fugazi,
Yeah.
This is
Mine
great.
and Threat, Fugazi. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. Nice. Who's yours?
What's interesting is, and the way I loved Johnny Carson, and he always had Buddy Rich on the show, and Buddy Rich's favorite drummer was Danny Serafin of Chicago. And so I was like, really? The guy from Chicago's the greatest drummer's favorite drummer? And he is one of the greatest drummers. Keith Moon is my favorite because I love The Who so much.
Sure.
But Danny Serafin, that band, Chicago's band, was an incredible band.
All right.
And you go back and look at some of these concerts of theirs, it's a shame that a lot of the people have passed on, because some of the greatest musicians. So anyway.
Is he still alive?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't know about Danny. I know that the guitar player who's wicked, crazy, incredible guitar player, his name, too early in the morning to remember, is gone. And
Did you ever get to see Buddy Rich play?
yes.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big music fan. I grew up
Yeah.
playing music. My family were all in. My sister
What
was an
was your
incredible singer. I sang a lot with bands, and I played clarinet as a kid, but I loved being in the symphony. To me, it was just as glorious and regal. And I think that comedy and music are very mathematical and are relatable.
Yeah,
So
totally.
did that work for you?
Totally.
That's what Mike Kaplan said, right?
Right,
Remember?
Mike Kaplan had said the same thing.
Yeah, beats and rhythms. Were you ever in a band that released an album?
No. How about you?
Yeah.
Well, you had a record label when you were a kid, like a swing label or some kind of thing like that.
Yeah. Starting the punk rock scene, then there was this swing scene that I noticed developing. It was mostly ex-punk rockers who started swing bands, if you can believe
Whoa.
Yeah.
I feel like it was
And they all had daddy in their title, right? It was the Cherry Poppin' Daddies and the This Daddies. And
it seemed cool at the time, and like the coolest thing ever. And then in hindsight, maybe not. But
it was fun. It was a fun time. And also, rockabilly was around during that time.
Totally, it
like
was all
Brian
in that
Setzer
scene.
and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that.
totally. Because I feel like it was kind of a reaction to the sort of agitated guitar rock of the time. Because this was horn-oriented and melodic, and women were getting back into the scene, and you were dressing up as opposed to dressing down, and it got huge for about a year and a half, and then I remember one day in mid-1999. It was in July. I can even get that close.
Wow.
The phone stopped ringing, and we couldn't sell another swing CD. People were done with it in July of 1999.
How did you cross over into comedy and producing comedy? You started Comedy Central Records, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly, and that came out of that. So the swing label died. I was in a depression for a year and a half, and I didn't know what to do. And so I was always a huge comedy fan, and I didn't realize. I saw that there were no comedy records coming out, and I saw Mitch Hedberg do a 5-minute set on TV, and he had self-released an album, and I bought it online. And I couldn't believe there was something that great that wasn't out there. And so I approached Comedy Central with the idea of starting a record label, and
How'd you get through to them?
Well, I had a friend who knew Larry Divney, who was the head of Comedy Central.
Right.
I was living in Arizona at the time, and
That's where you finish your university, right?
Exactly. I was running the label out of Arizona, and he introduced me. We flew out to New York. My friend Vin introduced me to Larry Divney. He said, "Oh, talk to this woman named Holly Lim, who's the head of new business development." And I'm 45 now and look like I should be wearing a
Like you're 18,
hat.
yeah.
If you can imagine me at 27, I look just like
the
fresh
same
out of
for
high
me.
school.
The same for me. When I was 18, I couldn't get into bars. I was like I was 8. But anyway, go ahead.
So flew out to New York and pitched this woman on starting a record label, and comedy records didn't sell. There was no one doing them, and I thought that there's no way she should have given me, access to a label. And so she said, like, "Oh, I don't." We were talking to a couple major labels about maybe doing this, but I'm gonna be traveling for the next few weeks. And I go, "Oh, that's crazy. Where are you gonna be?" And she goes, "I'm gonna be in Las Vegas in a few days." I go, "You're kidding me. I'm gonna be in Las Vegas." No. So I flew back to Arizona, revised the plan, stayed up for 3 days straight. Then at 3 a.m. on the morning I'm supposed to meet her, I leave Kinko's with the revised business plans for this, drive all night, 8 hours to Las Vegas, get to the meeting about 15 minutes before it happens, have no idea what I said, and then checked into a hotel and slept for a day and a half.
Right.
And every time, I would call periodically and say, "Hey, I'm going to be in New York on business. Yeah, you want to talk about the label?" And if she said yes, I would buy the ticket. If not. And basically, after about 9 months of pestering, they were nice enough to say, like, "We'll give you a little money to try this."
What a story! Huh?
Yeah,
Stop
it's incredible.
calling,
Who was the first
You
comic
were like
that
outlier. Nobody was just doing it before.
Right.
No, and you had to convince the comics too, because they were like, "Well,
Who's
going
gonna
to
buy an album?"
Yeah, exactly. And so the first 5 that I signed were Jim Brewer, Dave Attell,
Not bad, huh?
Bobcat Goldthwait, Mitch Hedberg, Lewis Black, and an upcoming comic called Dane Cook.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who was on MySpace, changing the world at the time, using the internet in a way that
What
never
was
had
more
been used
difficult, to
before.
convince comedians or convince this lady to give you opportunity?
Well, Holly was awesome and really got it, and just super. This is sort of self-serving, but she was super cool about it, and it was hard to convince Comedy Central, and it was a little less hard to convince comics, especially once they saw, like, oh, this was. I think Dave Attell was awesome, and he put out one of the greatest records of all time. It's called Skanks for the Memories.
Yeah,
It
oh
was so
God,
good.
what a
But
great record.
I think what he was sad about was that he didn't realize that people were actually going to buy these things, and so people bought the record in droves because it's a fantastic record. And so when he would be doing the set in clubs, people would be yelling out the punchlines.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow, like a
that's
song.
the toughest thing.
Imagine this, huh?
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
ruins the joke.
Exactly.
Now we're going to take a little break, but when we come back, I wanted to see how you got over to XM Sirius and what you're doing over there now, because now you've joined in with all these other organizations and you've become this powerhouse. So we'll be right back after this message. Thanks.
Hi everyone, I'm Heather Marie Baker, and this is Ojucation, the game show on the OG Talk where we are deeply rooted in organic knowledge. I have Jungmoon here. We are ready to play a game. Are you ready to play, Jungmoon? How are you doing today?
Doing fantastic.
Fantastic. I'm from the Garden State. It's known for its bountiful produce and big hair. You know it? Have you heard the Garden State?
No.
New Jersey. It's
New
just
Jersey,
across
yes.
the border. We love produce over there, and we hope that you guys do too. So today, I have Jungmoon is going to answer a couple of vegetable questions. I have some vegetables here in this bag. All you have to do is tell me the name of the vegetable.
Okay.
Okay? Pretty simple. You ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. We have vegetable number 1.
Number 1.
Here we go.
Okay.
All right. You know what this is?
Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts. That's absolutely correct. Do you like Brussels sprouts?
I love it.
Oh, he loves Brussels sprouts. So do I. Look at that. We got this. This is easy first one. Now this one's going to get a little harder. Are you
Okay,
ready?
I'm ready.
All right, Jungmoon. Our second vegetable is...
Leeks.
Ooh, leeks. Absolutely correct. Do you know what leeks are good for? Cataracts.
Cataracts.
Yeah, did
I
you
don't
know
what
that?
cataracts is,
Oh,
but
it's
I know
it's a
leeks.
little bit of an eye problem.
Okay.
But these will help you with that. You know what leeks are also good for? Plumbers.
Plumbers.
They love leeks.
Got it.
Yeah, he got it. All right. Now, you are so good at this. I want to see if you can answer the third final vegetable. It's a little hard. You ready?
Celery roots.
Whoa! You had a little bit of a hesitation there, but you got it. Celery root, or celeriac, it's known as. It is not a scary pharmaceutical drug, though it
Not
sounds like it.
celiac.
No,
Celeriac.
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 Yep, celeriac, which, is a really fun farm-produced grub. You won! Congratulations! You are a vegetable man. You are the man of the world. Here we go. We have a $25 gift certificate to the Organic Grill for you.
Lovely.
Awesome. And all you
Thank you.
have to do is just read that card and tell the viewers at home.
My name is Jungmoon, and I know my vegetables a little too well.
You heard it here. You heard it here. Thanks for playing.
Thanks.
I am Heather Marie Baker, and
Heather,
this has been
nice to meet you.
Ojucation. Back to you guys.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. I'm here with Jack Vaughn, coolest name in show business.
Oh, stop.
And Vlad Grinberg, second coolest name in show business.
I would
And-
say like.
Well, I would
Fight
say
it out.
one and 1A.
We'll fight it out.
Yeah, that's the way that goes. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
You know what's funny, in our little break, we were talking about the music that you love, and you guys have such a
Yeah,
a
I
love.
never thought that you.
What was the band you guys were? The Go-Go.
Go Bordello.
Yeah.
Ah, such a
Yeah,
great
just
band.
funny songs and
Yeah.
great music.
It's always so fun when you find people who like the same esoteric stuff that you do, because it's like a secret language.
It is. And I grew up here in the East Village pretty much, and it was the sort of swing, new wave. The whole scene was evolving here. We had CBGBs down the street, and we'd go to all the different places, and there was rockabilly, and there was hard rock and roll, and it just keeps evolving.
He came in one day with his friend. I was like, oh hi. And he's like, let me introduce you to my friend.
And Russell.
He's from Sick Fox. I was like,
Yeah, the band The Sick Fucks, one of the greatest bands ever still.
But I was like, is he like making a joke? I never heard
No.
that.
Comment
Yeah.
on his personality.
Yeah.
What was the best show you saw?
Best rock and roll show I ever saw was Queen and Thin Lizzy together. Two of the greatest guitar players history of the
Oh, I
world
love
playing
Thin Lizzy.
together. Yeah, me too.
I wish they were a punk band. That's one of those things, because they were a little bit out of my wheelhouse, because
Mm-hmm.
I felt like they were more like the hard rock. But if they had been a punk band, I think they would have been the greatest band of all time.
Yeah, and incredible musicianship and great singing, and they opened for Queen, and it's like that was enough for me.
Yeah,
you
I'm
know,
going
and
home.
then
Where was that show?
it was at the Boston Garden when I was in college in Boston.
Nice.
Now you went to school in Boston, and you go to MIT and Harvard and do stuff there, or
No,
were you not?
I'm slowly taking grad school classes.
Oh, okay.
I went to school at the University of Arizona.
It sounds good.
Right, I remember the Arizona,
Yeah.
but I had seen something about MIT.
Yeah, I'm taking.
Took some of the classes in Harvard too.
Things are changing so quickly that I feel like I have to keep up, because even the record business today versus a year and a half ago has changed so dramatically.
What have
because
you
of
learned in the last couple of years about the industry?
It's more that it's changed. So people don't buy records anymore, even digitally. Do you know how many comedy records you need to sell in a week to be the number 50 spot on the Billboard Top 50 comedy
7?
chart? Yeah.
Really? I'm
7 or
guessing.
8.
The
7
way
or
you
8.
brought it up, I thought.
I was leading it, but
Yeah.
you need to sell 7 records in a week to be on. So
And you can just buy them and be
We can
number
just go.
4.
Let's just take records and go on the corner and just give them away. And
this,
go,
yeah, exactly. And then
You're number 50.
You're on the chart.
Yeah.
You're
So
on the
what
chart.
does it
So, yeah.
say about the business
So
and the industry itself?
It's all streaming now, which is part of the reason why I'm at SiriusXM, because when it's all streaming, you want to be where the hub of it. So it's all short form now.
Did you know that? Did you say I need to go to SiriusXM?
I saw where it was going because so many of the artists we had were so successful on Sirius, and so much of the royalties paid out were from Sirius. Like it was a big part of. The
Was this
Comedy Central
before
business.
XM joined, or was it?
This was after.
Okay.
This was after. But I did a deal with SiriusXM to start the Comedy Central channel.
Right.
And that's how I knew them and got to know them. But I really didn't know anything about Sirius until I moved to Los Angeles for a few years. And I didn't have a car in New York. And Sirius really dominates the car. That's where people listen to it. So when I got there,
Wow.
like, oh, that's why this is a real thing. And people, I mean, I obviously knew it was a real thing, but I didn't get what a huge
chunk of
entity
business
was.
it was.
Right, because
was
Vlad's
my-
always listening to podcasts in the car, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
you have a commute every
Absolutely.
day, and
Oh, got it. Nice. Yeah. But do you have a
Yeah,
car?
and Sirius was actually, I told you, right, one of the things that I always listen, because you can almost like select not only comedy, but like different type of comedies and different comedians. You can like really pinpoint what you want to do today.
It's great. Now, I haven't owned a car since I'm 17.
Are we
I've
getting
lived in New
paid
York.
by Sirius?
Yeah.
I hope so. Well,
All right,
seriously,
let's get it.
we
I know a guy.
that's fantastic. I know a guy who's sitting with him and enjoying incredible vegan food.
By the way, I don't mean to interrupt.
It's all right.
This is so good.
The food is
Oh,
great.
nice.
This is so
nice.
like I can't believe it's all vegetarian.
How long
too.
have you been a vegan? I want to get back to the Sirius
30
XM, but
years.
30
Wow.
years.
Yeah.
Right. So when you were growing up as a kid and traveling like crazy, your family wasn't vegan?
No.
Yeah.
No. It was. And back then, I felt like if you were a vegetarian, everyone wanted to. They had that little jokes like, "How do you know if someone's a vegetarian?" I'm gonna tell you. Like, I hated talking about it because there was no.
Oh, yeah,
You know, if you
wasn't
recorded that,
viral.
you'd be the number 17
And
CD.
we'll buy you
Let's make it
record.
happen.
We'll
Sure.
buy the record of that bit you're doing.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
But there's just no dogma behind it, right? It just
Right.
seemed like there were more reasons not to than to. It's bad for the environment. It's bad for animals. It's not really great for your health. It's making antibiotics not work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, I felt like if you're a vegetarian, it was like I'm hardcore animal liberation, or I'm
Right.
like I'm in a religious cult. And when everyone talked to, like, what's your brand of crazy?
Yeah,
And I was like, "Ah, like,
It's true.
but yeah,
Well,
I like,
yeah. Well, it's
it's
health
a-
nut, so you're called a health nut.
Right.
If you're doing
That's
really
true,
well.
that's true.
You know, it's
Exactly.
like, what?
Exactly.
You
There
know,
was a store in your Health Nuts, remember?
Yeah,
There was
oh,
like a
right,
franchise.
yeah.
I remember I was delivering my cookies there.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
how long has this restaurant been going?
This one is 20 years.
That's
this,
amazing.
Actually, this year.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's pretty
I don't
great.
know,
At the
maybe I
time-
should take like condolences or something.
No,
Because
it's
I
terrific.
definitely have my brand of crazy because of this place.
And the kind of variety of people that come in here are from all walks of life,
Absolutely,
and that's sort of how this podcast came together,
Yeah.
because of all the different variety. Plus,
Yeah,
it's
we
all
just
centered
wanted to
around Vlad.
show like what kind of people this food attracts.
Yeah. No, and it's amazing. And by the way, sorry, not to.
It's okay.
Not to-
We're,
No,
we're all over the
Go
place.
ahead, go
That's
ahead.
what
No, just
what it
say
is.
something nice.
I remember. Believe me. I remember when vegetarian restaurants sort of first came on the scene. They were pretty bad.
Oh,
It's just
boy,
because
like-
we're the only option in town. So here's
Yeah, no, like
something
what do you
boiled.
expect? It's vegan, right?
Yeah,
Like you
and
can't
now,
do much.
I mean, like I mean, I wish I had known about you 20 years ago because I would have been here every day.
But we came here
But
for
this was-
dinner, and you were so shocked at how amazing the
Everything
food
was
is.
so great and so tasty, and I feel like it's just getting better and better now. Now that more people are like, oh yeah, we realize all the reasons.
And
why.
we're spoiled in New York because
and
there's so
would
many
you say
great
that
New
we
York.
invite people? Sometimes we don't even tell them it's vegan. We just
Right.
sit down and have a conversation. So it's not like you can only invite certain kind of people now.
Right.
Yeah,
no, it's
and
amazing.
I have a friend, Dean, who was a cameraman at Letterman. He's a terrific human being who, you know, we go to once a month, we go have a meal, and I started taking him to vegan places. Now, he's not a vegan, but he'll now once a week,
he feels like it's...
Well, that's it. I feel like if everyone did that, right, it would be so much better on the environment and just kind of everything. You know, like you don't need to go crazy with it. Yeah, because I feel like the people who actually go crazy with it, who get the like, I'm going cold.
Right. Well, that's extremism in any form can be dangerous.
And it doesn't last. But
Right.
if you do one or two of these
you have
things
to
a month,
gradually
it's great. It's
graduate
no sacrifice. That's how we get.
Okay, well,
yeah.
I want to get back into the XM Sirius because nowadays, you know, I know that when we actually sat and met, we were working on a Mitch Hedberg sort of documentary kind of a thing.
Yep.
What are your goals now over at XM Sirius?
Well, there are a bunch. I feel like we want to have all the best brands. I'm going to sound like an advertisement. But we have Comedy Central, we've got Netflix, we've got Kevin Hart, we have Jeff and Larry.
And Pandora just joined with you guys.
We now have Pandora.
Right.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
huh?
they're also. We have 100 million listeners now. And
Whoa.
Yeah, and just all I want to do is be the best in comedy. We want to have the most stuff, the most exclusive stuff, the most interesting stuff. So we work with a lot of great people. And what I like to do is go out and find old catalogs. From maybe unreleased stuff. Like we got
And
a lot
that's when you said that somebody was really good and wasn't popular, so maybe it's like another
can bring them, make them
chance.
popular. You know?
Exactly. We love resurfacing old stars, and just there's a wealth of stuff out there that kind of doesn't get a lot.
You know
of play
that
here.
you said the word old stars, which is interesting, and we have this conversation. I'm 61 years old. A lot of my peers are in their late 50s
you
and early
look
60s.
20.
Yeah, I look great.
Fantastic.
But the thing is there's a bit of ageism that goes on in comedy, and comedy's the one industry where you get better as you have more life experience. It doesn't mean there are amazing 20-year-olds and 25-year-old comics that I see all the time that I help push in my way, and it should be that way all the time. But there are 60-year-old comics, like Carol Montgomery just put together this Showtime special where it was women of a certain age, and she put all these incredibly talented comics on. So what do you think of the ageism that's going on? Do you know about it?
And
do you hear
how
about
do
it?
you, as an executive, react to people who come in with certain, in a good way, luggage, right, and experience? Do you give more leeway to young and ambitious, or you?
We kind of don't think about it in those terms. We kind of just think about like what's really funny, because our audience.
That's nice.
Yeah, it runs the spectrum, because I feel like as in music, comedy's the same way. You want to hear comics who are of your generation, who speak to you, because I imagine a lot of the newer comics don't speak to the older generation and vice versa. So we want to have a broad spectrum of just stuff that's really good, and we don't think about that.
But what happens to like a George Carlin who speaks to all generations? And like we have
a George Carlin channel.
That's
Thank
amazing.
You for bringing that up. I'm gonna peel you off at 20 after the show,
that's
but
good.
Yeah.
I'll give you change.
Guys, for me as a layman, it's so important to hear that there is a continuation and future for the comedy, because sometimes I hear, oh my God, it's censorship and there is a culture of canceling the people.
We've been talking. What about the cancel culture?
So
What's
you
your
feel
opinion on that?
like there is no hot stuff anymore, and
Well,
what you say is like really it makes me hopeful that I can really experience good comedy.
Well, it's a conversation. That conversation we have all the time. Because there's a lot of stuff you could, even the Eddie Murphy stuff that you could say 20, 30 years ago that you absolutely cannot say today. Like, do we take it off? Do we take it down? And our philosophy, at least to date, has been to not take it down.
Wow.
To air it, because
honorable.
I think people are sophisticated enough to understand it in an historical context. If it's just offensive and not funny, then we take it down.
Right.
But
if it's really offensive and really funny, there's no reason to take it down.
And especially if it's meant as a joke.
I meant as a joke. It's intention. I always said that words are the costume of intention.
Yes.
Because you could say the word honey and be sweet, and you can do the word honey and be a
dick.
dick.
Humiliating, right?
Yeah.
Right. Because
but it also says a lot about administration and you guys, how authentic you are and determined, right? Because it's probably give you a lot of flack too.
Yeah, and again, the real litmus test is it meant to be a joke? If it's meant to be mean or not funny or just like, no, that's not going to play. But for the most part, they're making a joke, and it's actually if it sounds like it's going to be bad. It's not intended. I'm doing a terrible job of describing this, but
Yeah,
it's,
we're not
it's all
even
for-
paying attention to you now because
Yeah,
it's
like
so
we
boring.
almost.
Well, yeah, why start?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah,
What's the future for you? What's next for you? And what's next for the station? What's next for you?
Yeah. So we're just trying to be sort of the omnibus place for comedy. So when we have the issue with Sirius is that we're linear radio. You listen to it, and you can find it on demand, but we have a limited amount of bandwidth. And with Pandora, we have an unlimited amount of bandwidth. So we could take all these catalogs we've been getting and put it on Pandora, and so people can listen there at any point in time. And I just want to keep on keeping on. We're doing more documentaries. We're doing a documentary with Dan Pasternak about the 80s comedy boom. We're doing a documentary with Julie Seabaugh about Hedberg. We've got a couple secret weapon stuff. So we want to do more documentaries. We want to get more catalogs. We have more. I'm sorry, it sounds like an advertisement, but it's
okay.
It's the passion. We want to be the best in comedy. So we have more exclusive stand-up than anybody, and just keep.
And
doing
also,
that. And
we had
more
talked about stuff that
talk
you're
shows.
doing, like the Gary Busey, the sort of court thing. I don't know if you want to talk
Yeah.
about it or hold off on it.
Let's hold off. But
Okay.
there's a secret weapon project involving Gary Busey. Let's
That
just
would be
say
that's
that.
really
Wow.
good.
Yeah.
Well,
but
you know, we're so happy that you came by because it's
thanks for
important.
having me. Thank you very much.
It's important to really not only hear from the comedians, but to hear from behind the scenes. You know, Vlad and I were talking about
and
this.
to know who is behind SiriusXM too, right?
That's terrifying, right? Do we want to peel back that curtain?
Yes, we do. I think it's really, really important that we do. And you know, for me, I was behind the scenes at Letterman in a sense, and then in front of the camera as well. I know what you go through. I mean, people want to meet you because you could do things for them. But as long as you are straight ahead in your vision, I'm talking for you, but I know from my perspective that you're able to do what you want to do, and everyone just comes along that you meet, and you can use them in a positive way.
Yeah. Well, I want to help people. At the end of the day, I want to help make great comics successful and get them out there. And this is the platform for it, right? A lot of people are being discovered on Sirius, and there are a lot of great comics who deserve to be famous. And I want to help in that process.
And we're happy to have you. You know.
Thanks for. What did you like more, being in front of the camera or behind the scenes?
I love being in front of the camera. I like them both a lot. I like it. I like it a lot.
This question, you didn't know the answer.
Yeah, I just when I was a kid, I remember in a comedy group in college at Emerson, I got a laugh, and I've been chasing that laugh.
I can imagine there's no better feeling.
There's no better feeling.
Yeah.
You know, but we do want to thank our crew, our incredible crew here that work really hard.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
We always have our friends we want to say hello
Right.
to.
We just wanted to say hi to our friends in Australia. They go through a lot now, and our good friend Simon Hill from Plant Proof. Good job, guys. Listen to his blog and his podcast. He's doing tremendous work. And Simon, we waiting for you in New York, and I'll whip up a good spicy black bean burger for you. All right.
That sounds good. For Vlad Gridberg, we thank you so much to have the wonderful Jack
Thank
Vaughn
you
with
very
us.
much.
We'll have so much more dinners and
Thank
talk
you.
about food
And
and
we'll
help
talk
the
about
business.
Fugazi and Mine and Thread.
Yeah.
I love it. Come to the Organic Grill, everybody. It's awesome.
Yeah, the
All right.
Organic Grill, 123 First Avenue in New York City. For the Organic Grill and for my friends.
And don't forget to review and subscribe to OG Talk on YouTube and iTunes, please.
Good
We
that
need
you
your
said that. I
support.
almost forgot to say that. Subscribe, hit the button.
We almost have as
Subscribe,
many
everybody.
subscribers as
XM, Sirius,
XM.
Pandora. Have a good one. I'm Eddie Brill.